the NAR movement has really taken this one verse, Ephesians 4:11, and based their entire movement on this verse.
But there's something very specific to NAR. So if people are still not following, like, okay, well, what's the difference between my charismatic church and NAR? There's something very specific to the NAR, and that's the fivefold ministry and the 7 mountain mandate. I would love for you guys, if you could, to please break those down. What do those mean, and why are they significant?
Yeah, fivefold ministry is a term referring to the core teaching in NAR, and that's the core teaching of NAR is that apostles and prophets are supposed to govern the church, right? But they base the fivefold ministry teaching on Ephesians 4:11. They would say that Ephesians 4:11 teaches that Christ gave 5 governing offices to govern the church through all the ages, through all the centuries. So that'd be apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers. And Ephesians 4:11 says, so Christ himself gave the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the pastors, and teachers. And so you'll also sometimes hear reference to Ephesians 4:11 ministries. That's also referring to these apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, teachers. But the thing is, this verse merely lists 5 types of like gifted leaders God has given the church, but it says nothing about this like formal hierarchical structure that must govern the church, through all time. And so the NAR movement has really taken this one verse, Ephesians 4:11, and based their entire movement on this verse. And so, this Ephesians 4:11 verse says nothing about offices. It says nothing about governing hierarchical offices, but that is the key verse. And so when you hear reference to fivefold ministry, they're referring to that teaching. Sometimes people outside of NAR will use that term as well. But generally it's a clue that it's NAR. Generally that would show that something is NAR if they use that term. The 7 mountain mandate is a strategy. It's basically a revelation that a number of prophets in NAR claim to have received. It's a strategy God has given the church to take dominion of the world. And they would say the way to do that is by the church taking control of the 7 major societal institutions. So that's government, media, family, business, education, church, and the arts. And that if the church takes control of these institutions, the apostles rise to the top. They have the spiritual authority to cast out the territorial spirits. These are allegedly like very high-ranking demonic spirits that are believed to rule over those institutions. They can cast those spirits out and then take control, and then through those institutions bring God's kingdom to earth. And NAR leaders have made it clear that the key to controlling those institutions is the work of apostles. For example, the apostle Cheon has said we must also recognize that apostles have the authority to govern on all 7 mountains of culture. And so when this teaching has been exposed, even, for example, in the Rediscover Bethel series, when, Bethel released the 6-part video series where they were trying to clear up what they said were misconceptions about their beliefs and practices. And what they would say is, well, this 7 mountain mandate is really about influencing culture. It's not about controlling society. But the thing that's left out is all of these distinctive teachings about apostles and prophets, that they must rise to the top, that they're the ones that God has given the authority to rule over these institutions, to cast out the territorial spirits. So they leave out all of these controversial aspects of this mandate and they've kind of tried to recast it as really it's just about influencing culture, when really there's much more when you read their literature behind this teaching.
It reminds me of spiritual gaslighting. Oh man, this is something that I see a lot and it drives me nuts. Where they speak out of both sides of their mouth. Where it's like, yes, we teach this. No, we don't. Okay, yes, this is the doctrine. This is something that we believe in, that the 7 mountain mandate is this, or we believe that healing is this, and that if you don't get a healing, it's no, that's not true. Like, it's confusing. And so it's very clear, especially if you read Bill Johnson's book, right? When heaven invades earth, that's their eschatology. Like, you have to kind of you have to go out into these spheres of influence and basically take them over to
Yeah.
bring
And
you.
another book, Bill Johnson co-wrote a book with Lance Wallnau called Invading Babylon. And it's about the seven mandate. And they're very clear in there that this is a mandate about how to infiltrate and control. And it's very explicit in the teaching.